This is the Parent Portal Show. To the Parent Portal Show, good morning. Hey, Coach, how are you? It's Stephen Nold and Coach James Gumbert here today on a beautiful February 1st day, Coach.
Almost Groundhog Day. It's great to be back, and it's exciting times as always in the world of NIL and portal transfers. But it's an even more exciting time for our parents as we start to get into spring and the close of another year.
Yep, here we go. It's we're rolling on into the 2024 year, February, kind of migrating from the cold winter sports, jumping into track now is coming around the bend, closing out the basketball regular seasons, moving into playoffs, and then of course you got Super Bowl on the pro level headed this way. So it's a fun time of year, a lot of activities going on, but it's a great year for kids to continue to build on their whatever their skills and development platforms and strategies are. So and I guess for our edification, the NCAA has decided to just generate a little more stimulation, a little more excitement for us to figure out.
Bring your family together with a backyard game court from Sport Court of Austin. Moms love Sport Court because it's an active and safe place for the kids to gather. Dads love Sport Court because he gets to play like a kid again. Kids love Sport Court because all kids love to play. So give your kids a safe place to hang out and have fun. Call 512-335-9779 or go to sportcourtofaustin.com for more information. If you build it, they will play.
Yeah, they one of the lines I've read earlier in some articles was they've been a little tardy to the party. And I think in some of the things we're going to discuss today, you'll see the lack of action over the past few years is starting to catch up with them in many, many ways.
Absolutely. Well, so let's jump into it, Coach. You know, we absolutely have kind of some interesting things going on just today. We're absolutely kind of figuring out what's going on with NCAA and the lawsuits, enforcement by NCAA and on Tennessee, and then the countersuits coming back very quickly. I thought that was pretty eye-opening. Is the moment that Tennessee started to get in trouble with the NCAA, which they've done before. Boy, howdy, did the state AG jump in, and then another Virginia state AG jumped in. And you want to get reelected in the state of Tennessee, you make sure and take up the cause for that big orange university. That gets you a lot of friends and a lot of votes in that state, no doubt.
It really has. I mean, if you look at it, we kind of looked at this going from the NCAA wanting the federal level to get involved, and they've kind of kicked it to the state, and the state has now, in their infinite, protection, is saying, wait a minute, you can't come after our state institutions.
Yeah.
And that's where the NCAA is kind of hitting right now. You're looking at a state school with Tennessee and then Florida as well, and Florida State. These aren't private institutions. They're coming after them, and the AGs are saying, we ain't having any of this. There's no laws federally that are, that you're trying to enforce here. And so we're going to stand up for our state rights here.
Yeah, and that's what happened when this vacuum was created. When the NCAA stepped out and decided that they were going to remain silent and not try to enforce some of the rules or provide guidelines, right? That's when NIL and the transfer portal suffered a lot. A lot of states saw the problems with that. And what happened is the AGs and the legislatures, state legislatures, and even state courts stepped in and started providing some of the enforcement, some of the rules that we're now running into. And that's what happens in a vacuum. Someone's going to fill that void, and sure enough, that's exactly why we're running into these counter lawsuits. So let's roll our sleeves up, Coach. Let me kind of lay it out a little bit. So basically, I think what's happened is, and again, kind of acknowledging good and bad people have kind of stepped into trying to recruit athletes correctly or incorrectly, or legally or unlegally. But on the big picture, the state laws have definitely placed a lot in play that the NCAA even was concerned about, with the Alston versus the NCAA ruling with the Supreme Court. They knew that there was some rule challenges for them to enforce rules. That's why Baker's been trying to go back to Congress to get protection from those rules. He's not going to get it, this year. So now all that time that he spent trying to do that is going to show up as a deficit for results. And where we are at this moment is, they really haven't had any kind of NIL sanctions since the Florida State coach drove the kid down to meet with the collective, and the collective talked NIL, and of course Florida State got in trouble for that. That's the only sanctions that we've had. But what I think is kind of interesting about what has happened here is Tennessee has said, look, your rules aren't clear. We did everything according to the rule. So for you to come back and try to say that we're not following the rules, we even created a contractual agreement in a way, or the collective created a contractual agreement in a way that said it was abiding by NCAA rules. Now, just because you put that in your agreement doesn't mean you're actually doing it.
No, and that's, what's a contract, right? It's an agreement between two parties, and in this situation, it's almost like the collectives, the people that are offering these NIL deals are seeing, where loopholes are. It's kind of like, they'll say, look, if we don't do this, the NCAA is going to be able to kind of step in here and say you were wrong, and gain some traction. And we keep saying the genie's out of the bottle, and it really is in these moments, because athletes are not going to just stop taking money at this point. And so it's one of these kind of things where the players have for so long not been compensated for their name, image, and likeness. The genie, the door, the Pandora's box, whatever you want to call it, is open. And now they're starting to receive those monies. And, there's the NCAA, again, tardy to the party. And as a result, they're in this place where they cannot get that door closed again. And there's too many laws that are in place. You simply have to look within the institution of football, and there is no way that a coach at a university would go interview at a new university and not ask what is my salary,
right?
And for the same people that are working in that same sport to look at the athletes and expect them to do something different is the height of hypocrisy.
Right. Well,
for nearly 50 years, Town & Country Sports has been the heartbeat of youth sports in North Austin, promoting fair play, sportsmanship, and most importantly, fun. TNC Sports is for kids of all ages, no matter the skill level, and we encourage the whole family to get involved. Right now, registration is open for soccer, flag football, baseball, girls volleyball, softball, lacrosse, and more. Space is limited. Don't wait. Sign up today at tncsports.org. TNC Sports. Come play with us.
Well, and it's more than that. It's what job would you go interview in and go talk to 3 or 4 different companies, walk in, maybe the first series of questions you don't ask about salary, but hey, by question two or interview 2 or 3, you're getting to the point where salary becomes a part of the offer. That's the always talked about. So for the NCAA to tell athletes, hey, you can go talk with all these schools, but you can't talk money, it's just fantasy, right? We're just it's la la land for the NCAA, whereas the kids are doing it. There's no doubt that the collectives and the institutions are doing this now. Um, you know, Again, I'm sure the universities have tried to keep arm's length with the whole creation of collectives. That's the whole reason collectives came about, is universities wanted to keep themselves out of trouble with NCAA. So if mistakes were made, let's let the collective make the mistake and let them take kind of the pat on the hand for doing it incorrectly. But we all know that these conversations are happening, and it's not even a question of whether the kid wants to take the best paying job, the best paying offer. It's just a matter of knowing what's out on the table. If I'm going to go play for the University of Texas and I have a choice from UT, Mississippi, California, I don't know, 3 other schools. Let's just keep it simple. And two of them say, hey, yeah, you're worth, we've done the calculations. We feel like you're worth about, 100,000 a year. We're going to back that up with that kind of support in our offer to you, 10,000 a year offer, whatever it is. And then the third one comes in and says, oh no, we can only give you 1,000 a month. And that's how we see you. That's going to be an important consideration. Why wouldn't it be? What smart college athlete wouldn't want to have that conversation?
Well, what business person wouldn't want to have that conversation? I mean, maybe the athlete doesn't take the $100,000, takes $90,000 offer to stay closer to home. I mean, but you do that consideration with knowledge. And right now, the NCAA is wanting to kind of take that off the table. They don't like that, and you take in that component of like what's really going to be looming hard and big for them is the employee discussion, because what we're talking about is business. I mean, we're talking about employee versus business managers, businesses that are looking at hiring employees, because that's essentially what you're doing. And I mean, if you're going to terminate your NIL deal, isn't that terminating a contract? And I mean, we're talking about whether you want to call it independent contractors, whether you want to call it a full-time employee. These are all things that the NCAA is not prepared for. They have zero desire for it to go this way. And I really, my personal opinion is like, it's only going to take one decision, much like, the California decision a few years back, for this to take another big 180 turn from the way that we've done it for decades.
Yeah. Well, and this may be it, right? This may be Tennessee leading out. They've got their backs against the wall. They've gotten themselves in trouble before. They know that if the NCAA were to come back after them again and apply a penalty, it's going to have some real teeth and it's going to have some real pain involved. So rather than risk that, they're coming back after them. They're going to countersue, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that they don't get in this corner.
Yeah, well, you look at it, first they go after Florida State, in this past month, and now there's rumors of them looking at Florida, and now they're coming after Tennessee, and they're like I said, they're tardy to the party, but they're taking a big bite out of something, and I don't think they know what they're biting into, because I mean, this is a very big bite of like a tiger, if you will, because that tiger is going to turn around and bite you back, and I think the turnaround and bite is going to be much more than the NCAA can handle.
Well, and if you think about it, it's really all the institutions that are going to get involved in this. They're all going to feel this pain. I would not be surprised if you didn't have 4 or 5 or 10 more organizations, universities jump in on this, because it is really it's the crux of the matter that we're dealing with. It's where the NCAA has its weakest point. And now let's step back from it and look at it from a big picture point of perspective. This needs to change anyway, right? This is what is where the athletes and the parents are so disenfranchised anyway with how NCAA is handling this, because this smacks of the unfairness, the unplaying level field. Here the NCAA is put into, of all the protections, of all the things that they're going to fight about, I don't see them suing any university about not having equity payments in place yet, distributions of money. I don't see any of that. I don't see them taking up the Title IX concerns. And oh, by the way, that's still out there. And that's happening because there's no way with all these monies that they're even beginning to address that. So rather than taking on things that are important to the kids, which at the end of the day, isn't this about the kids? They've created a system by this infrastructure that they claim is to benefit everyone, and especially the athletes, because Charlie Baker went around and toured the country before he started his real job of lobbying Congress to make it even more unfair to the kids. Oh, yeah. But he went around and he thought he came back with this realization that the kids really want something that gives them the inability to talk about their own monies, to talk about their own their own deals. That's just so insane. But yet that's what they're standing on. This is the Parent Portal Show.
You've seen prices rise from the dinner table to the pump, but Allstate agents are seeing ways to save you money on insurance. From starting a new policy to bundling coverage or even driving safely, Allstate agents know how to maximize your savings. They'll share their knowledge as they help you personalize your coverage. Because when it comes to seeing all the ways to save, Allstate agents do it best.
Mike Hammer has over 35 years as an Austin area Allstate agent. Call 512-343-6994 or visit MikeHammer@allstate.com.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Yeah, they're living in a dystopian world right there, and it is really it's playing out in front of us. The thing that I kind of struck me the other day when I was thinking about this is that the people that are screaming the loudest, right? Coaches, universities, and saying this is not fair, right? This is not fair. This is not fair. And then the association is like saying, oh yeah, this is not what we wanted. This is not what we wanted. And the athletes that go to the universities are saying, this is what's right. And so now these groups in higher institutions are put in a no-win situation. If you take a side and you say, yeah, we stand with the coaches, we stand, behind them 100%, then what athlete is going to want to play for a university where the students aren't, considered in the conversation? It is a no-win situation for universities, for the NCAA. They just cannot win in this. And you said it very well in the beginning. This model that we've been playing with for decades is done.
Yeah.
Whatever the new model is going to look like will eventually come forward. I mean, it's right now it's people taking advantage in every sense of the word, in every way that they can, and as a result, you're going to have people pushing the needle all the way to the edge, and we're seeing it.
Yeah.
And it's it there's an old saying, equal rights for everyone, special privileges for me. And there's a lot of that happening right now, and it's being covered up, and much like a lot of things have for the NCAA for years and years. And so it'll be interesting, as we said, where it heads. I mean, I really don't believe that the feds are going to get involved. I think it's going to be decided in a state court, and it's just going to open another door and another box, and another genie's going to come flying out of the bottle, because I think the day when they say athletes should be considered as employees of the universities, it's just going to change everything again.
Yeah. Well, what's going to happen is the NCAA is not going to be in control. That's really what we're talking about. The NCAA was trying to put the system in place, the athletes' compensation structure, the way it would all be determined would all be flat. It would all be controlled. The NCAA would continue to be the ones who would call the shots on it. And the way this suit is coming about, and this is what was needed, is that's going to change. I mean, it's not that way for the coaches. It's not that way for the universities. They all continue to put the revenues as big as they get back into their own pockets, while the athletes are still struggling for just some kind of system that's fair based on who they are as athletes. Now, and I think that's where the state AG's office is coming back in. If you look at what the lawsuit yesterday was about, the attorney general from Tennessee and Virginia, they're basically asking the court to declare that the NCAA's ban of the discussion of NIL payments with recruits to be an illegal restraint of trade. So, boom, there you go. This is the dynamite in the dam that can blow this all up.
Yeah, like I said, I think they're biting off more than they can chew in this one. I mean, they want to look tough. They want to act like they're somebody, but now you got a state attorney general and got another state attorney general, and I would almost bet the farm that they're not the only two that are going to get involved in this and say, whoa, you're coming down. You stay in your lane, because right now you're way over your skis, and we're calling you on it. And I think they're right. I mean, equal rights for everyone, special privileges for me doesn't apply in this moment. So,
well, it's back to what you said earlier. The NCAA is finally trying to put some teeth back into what they thought their role is and what they want it to do. And it's too late. It's too little too late. They're trying to jump back in. They don't want to allow students to consider how much they'll be compensated before they choose a school, as we kind of talked about. That's ridiculous. And it's so strange that they've twisted them up that they're not even engaging in the same kind of negotiations that people decide on compensating a person when they're receiving some kind of service. It's this flat kind of, hey, we'll figure this out after you sign up, and that's just not the way it's done.
yeah.
So anyway, I think where we're falling down on all this is this is going to be the beginning. I think this is the beginning of the break in the dam. I really think that we're going to start to see something pretty quick. I think this is going to roll very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 30 days you're going to see some major decisions. NCAA's got to understand where they're going to lose this. If they decide to go to court on this and fight with the AGs, especially it's not just one AG, right? So you're already up to two. I bet by the week's end tomorrow, we're going to see 3 or 4 other AGs jump in on this because they want to protect themselves. State of Texas will jump in. Why wouldn't they? They want to protect themselves.
Ken Paxton will be – he is on the phone right now. I guarantee you, because there is no way he's going to let those Texas institutions, be like pushed around by the NCAA. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and and remember, as we talked about, the Supreme Court started all this with that 9-0 ruling in Alston versus NCAA in 2021, right? So that was when, and basically what they told the NCAA, they said, hey, look, this is where we stand, and we did not come down on the side of the NCAA. And oh, by the way, if this ends up back in the Supreme Court, you're not going to like what we're going to do, because it's going to end up being declared illegal, is basically what's going to happen. And that's the signal. That was the shot across the bow that scared the snot out of NCAA. And they said, whoa, we got to quit enforcing some of this stuff. Whoa, we got to be careful about what lawsuits we take on. And guess what? Here we go. They're going to be back into that issue.
It's one thing to act like you want to be a giant governing body, and you have all these rules and prestige and, accomplishments. But when it comes down to leadership in these moments, we're finding out that their leadership skills are lacking. And as a result, we're in a place where, they're playing from behind. And what do you do when you play from behind? You open up the playbook and throw everything you got at it. And I think that's what we're seeing.
So, Nico, Iamaleava,
quarterback from Tennessee.
Yeah. So that's the kid that they're protecting. Yeah.
Yeah. Five-star quarterback from Tennessee. Every school in the SEC wanted, him to come to their institution. And, he picked Tennessee for whatever reason. Yeah. Whatever reason, whether it was money close to home, maybe he just liked playing at Rocky Top. I don't know. But he picked Tennessee.
He did. Well, and so he picked Tennessee. Tennessee had already gotten themselves in trouble with some other things, so they were already under scrutiny, right? And that's one of the big things that you don't do with the NCAAs. You don't reviolate. You don't get yourself in trouble again a second time, because they come down pretty hard pretty quickly. So, but I think it's worth looking at this contract, because this kind of opened my eyes of what they're doing. That supposedly is kind of now the model for what a lot of other universities are doing to deal with this this compensation issue. So the way they wrote it out, this is Spry Sports Group contract. The way they wrote it out is they said, hey, per NCAA rules, the contract explicitly states nothing in this agreement constitutes any form of inducement for the athlete to enroll at any school or join in any athletic team. They don't mention the specific school, university, only that athlete be enrolled at an NCAA member institution and a member of the football team at such institution, and then to avoid violating the NCAA's pay-for-play rule. The only specific circumstance that they enforce in this contract by which the collective could terminate the contract early is if the player violates a confidentiality clause or a clause about conducting themselves with the utmost integrity and utmost character and integrity. Let me think about this. You and I are going to agree verbally that you're coming to this school. So contractually, I'm going to say that you're going to behave with the utmost character and integrity. Well, if you lie to me and don't come to this school, then guess what? You've violated your utmost character and integrity rule, and we can cancel this contract. And that'll stand up in court. It's a backhanded way of getting around, and certainly the NCAA is got all sorts of rights to go after them. But again, it's the rule in general that they're going to get kicked in the teeth on, not the fact that these universities have created this. But this is it. This is why all these universities are going to be able to discuss, and this is how they're doing it in the kind of the shadows or the gray area that the NCAA doesn't want to hear anything about. They don't want to know how this is all coming about and how these compensation discussions are happening.
Yeah, that all the teams that lost out on Nico are kind of back looking at, well, why didn't this work for us? What was it? Was it location? Was it education? Was it, what was the thing that kept Nico from coming to our school? And I'm sure they're looking at everything. And when they look at that, they say, well, NIL monies, right? And they're like, okay, what is it? What is it that Tennessee did? And they'll find out. I mean, word will travel. Nico may tell them and say, hey, I decided to go to this university because they offered me more money. Well, what? Help us to understand. And what they'll do is that every school will use the cookie cutter method. It's like they got around the rules this way.
Yeah.
Sounds good. It's kind of like water. Water finds a way out anywhere. If you've ever had a leaky roof, it doesn't just pool in one side of the roof. It goes and finds its way all the way down to the bottom of the ground. And that's exactly what we're talking about here is one person has found a way to make it work for them. Yeah. And everybody else is going to see it. It's going to duplicate. And as a result, you're going to have because they've all got good lawyers. All these universities have got great lawyers, and these collectives. It sounds like they've got a few lawyers in their back pockets too. And it's like, it's really, you said where the NCAA is like going, whoa, no. But I mean, it's you're playing from behind. When do you say enough is enough? And it's like, we've got to figure something different than what we're doing because what you're doing is just not working.
Yeah. Well, and so, the AGs are suing for an injunction. They want the courts to step in and say, nope, this isn't enforceable. You can't do this. It'll be appealed several times, I'm sure. So we'll battle through this in the courts for a while. But the injunction keeps things as is. In other words, Tennessee will not be in trouble, at least until they get through kind of some decision on the ruling of what NCAA is doing. In the meanwhile, if the AGs get their injunction, hey, do you think those collectives are going to continue to pay recruits to have them come play? Yeah.
Absolutely. Nico, by the time this is done and settled, probably is going to be a sophomore, maybe already in the league as a junior, coming out as an emerging junior. And you're sitting here saying, well, it's all about the kids. The kids made their money and they're moving on. They just like everybody else in this world, they did a job, they got paid for it, and they're moving on.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, this may blow collectives up if you think about it, because this was kind of the big reason collectives came about, is to give that distance between some of this energy and effort to recruit kids. But if this injunction goes through, don't think that the time for collectives may be over, because once the states and really the universities are allowed to start talking to kids about compensation, the collectives almost become ancillary and redundant in what's needed. And besides, coaches want to have control in that conversation anyway.
Sure.
Buying or selling a home is a bit of a challenge in today's changing Austin market. If you're moving to Austin or selling in Austin, you need to reach out to one of my long-term friends and the guy who helped me, Chris Ott, with the Ott Group of Keller Williams Realty. I needed a professional with knowledge of the Austin area, and Chris was the right agent for the job. Chris, his business partner, Teresa Ott Basso, and their team have helped thousands of people. The Ott family is celebrating over 35 years in Austin and plan to provide their real estate services for many more years to come. Their mantra is, your move matters, and that is what they focus on. Go to their website at theottgroup.com and get connected with professionals dedicated to taking care of you. That's TheOttGroup.com. You can also call 512-222-6881 or email them at info@theottgroup.com to get connected with them today. Let them know that Stephen with the Parent Portal Show sent you, and start working on your next move. This is the Parent Portal Show.